right, welcome to the Norwood Conservation Commission meeting on February 19th. If anyone has a recording device present, if you'd let me know now, please. Thank you. We'll have opening roll call.
Peter Bamber.
Jody Maria.
Stephen Washburn.
Cheryl Doyle.
John Gear.
Al Getz.
All right, we'll have our meeting called to order. First up on our agenda, abbreviated notice of resource area delineation. James Kofsky Family Trust, DEP file number 251-0493. Norwood number is N2018-04, project location 820 Neponset Street, Norwood. Al?
Last week, last meeting, we approved the wetland line, and tonight we have to sign the document. That's why it's on the agenda. And there's one condition that was requested by our peer review, that when and if that property is developed, the vernal pools should be investigated to see whether they are vernal pools, and if so, have them certified.
Okay. Do we have any questions?
Keep going. Keep going.
Yes, you have to vote to issue that.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to issue it.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. All right, we'll keep the agenda moving while that's signed. Next up, we have order of conditions, Susan Colton Trust, ARS-DMS nominee trust, DEP file number 251-0510, Norwood number is N2019-09, project location lot 3, Brook Street, Norwood, Mass. Al?
You have the order of conditions that we generated over the last 2 weeks, and you know that we approved this project on Lot 3.
Cheryl?
Okay. I don't have a problem with the orders of condition. On the notice of intent, it hasn't been updated. It just has the pending removed, but it doesn't have like the Mass DEP file number or the Norwood number on it. And also I noticed in here the A&R plan hasn't been filed yet. If we sign these orders of conditions, they're going to follow 600 Nichols Street, because we've never signed orders of conditions until they've been, you can pass it back to me while I'm doing. We've never signed orders of conditions until an A&R is registered at the Registry of Deed, because all these orders of conditions will follow the main lot. That's why, like at Grandview, all those lots, when they were subdivided, the A&R was filed. At Plantation Circle, great example, they were here 2 weeks ago. It's a partial certificate of compliance because each lot was registered at the Registry of Deed, because what's going to trigger is if we sign these without the A&R first being filed at the Registry of Deeds, and then people go, well, number one, whoever buys the lot's going to have to come back and refile with us. And then whoever owns or buys 600 Nichols Street, they're going to have to do an as-built for every single lot. So I won't sign them.
So what is the...
It should be the A&R, normally, rule of thumb, it's all administrative. You file the A&R with the Registry of Deed. Then that means each lot is separately registered at the Registry of Deed. And then when we go to sign these orders of conditions, each of these orders of conditions will have a book number and a page number stating this is the lot at the Registry of Deeds. So say this one is wrong one. Say this one is Lot 3.
Yep.
So Lot 3 will have a book number, lot number to it, or page number to it. Only this order of condition will go only with Lot 3 and Lot 3 only, and that's it. Same with Lot 4, and then when they do Lot 5, same with Lot 5. Otherwise, as is, because you have to put a book number, you have to put a page number, all of these go with 600 Nickel Street.
Including the existing property on 600 Nickel Street.
That's the one it'll go with, because that is the only lot that is registered at the Registry of Deed with a book and a page number.
Can I speak to that, Mr. Chairman? I know you're in a closed session, but can I explain it to you how it works? And you don't have to
Yes.
listen to me, but
Okay.
I've only been doing this for like 40 years, so I've probably, had a similar experience. So I hear what you're saying, but, and please, with all due respect.
No,
And I
I'm
know
not
they were
gonna
saying that,
interrupt you.
who were they were saying that at the impeachment hearings, but what you're saying makes sense, but it's not gonna work that way, okay? Because, and I agree, at Grandview it was done differently because the lots were sold and then the individuals got the orders of conditions. So in this case, you can file the plan at the Registry of Deeds. All we're doing is filing a plan at the Registry of Deeds, and it gets a plan book and a plan number. Goes in a book and it gets a number. It doesn't get a separate deed reference. You don't get a separate deed reference until Susan sells the lot to someone else. So that's the only time you would have separate deed references on the order of conditions for these lots. But it doesn't matter in the end, because what the title examiner is going to do is they're going to look at the, so Susan sells it to FX Construction Company, okay? And then that has a book and a new book and a page, right? Book and page. And so the title examiner sees that, and then they're going to look back. And the next deed they'll see will be Susan's, and then they'll see her father's, and then whoever owned it, Lakeview, or whoever owned it before them. And they're going to go all the way back. I think these days they go back 75 years. And then that's when they're going to pick up, oh, there was an order of conditions on Lot 3. And so they're going to look for a certificate of compliance for Lot 3. If one's not there, then all hell breaks loose, usually. They call me up like that. But so that's the way it's going to work. So by signing these and by issuing these, you don't lose any authority or anything. It still follows the trail. And this happens all the time with us.
Okay, no, I just want, wait, don't sit
Okay,
down.
no.
I just want to counter you. I didn't say the deed. I said book and page number follows a lot. Plantation Circle, Old Farms, all of those, the A&R is filed, and then we do the orders of conditions. That's how this board has always done it.
There is no place on that order of conditions to place the book and page where the plan is filed. And the plan, believe me, when you file it at the Registry of Deeds, is meaningless until a deed is written on that plan. It's just a plan in the Registry of Deeds. And I guarantee you, there are thousands of plans, and I know I've done some of them, that are at the Registry of Deeds where no deed has ever been written on them because something else happened. So you can file it. There's nowhere on that sheet where you write in plan book, they're probably up in the 700s now, plan book 700, plan 69. It doesn't tell anybody anything.
Armando, sorry, what do you have to, the project, okay, here you go. Project location,
Lot 3, Brook Street.
but it, map, number.
That's your
Map,
local,
No.
That's your local assessors, and the assessors don't give a map and a sheet and a lot until the plans come back from the registry.
Recorded at the Registry of Deed, book and page number. This is going to go with this.
That's right. It's gonna follow.
But the A and R is not filed. Okay, we're going to agree to disagree, but I won't sign it personally unless the A and R is filed, because we've done it with every single subdivision in this town. Because otherwise, you're sticking the original address, which this was filed with, 600 Nickel Street, you're sticking them with every single one of these orders of conditions. And then as each lot is sold, each one of them are gonna have to come back now and file with us. They'll all have to come back. And all this is administrative. They'll all have to come back.
That they'll all have to come back to get a certificate of compliance. You're right. But the title examiners are going to read and they're going to say, oh, FX Corporation bought Lot 3. They're not going to say, oh, you got to go back, FX Corporation, and get a certificate of compliance for Lot 4 or Lot 5 or Susan's house or someone else's property. It's just going to be Lot 3. That's what they're going to read in the order of conditions. That's the way it works. There's no other way for this to work, believe me.
It does, no, but it does work, because now it's all stuck to 600 Nichols Street. And then that means somebody has to keep doing, who's gonna file the as-built then?
And you're right, it's stuck to
600
600, but it doesn't even go by the address, it goes by the book and page that's written on the order of conditions. And that book and page is not gonna change until Susan sells the lots. It's the book, the registry of deeds. Nobody goes by the address, because addresses change all the time, right? People can, the town
Right.
E11, we're changing your address. So
I'm just using the address as a reference, because off the top of my head, I don't know the map number and I don't know the book to page number or anything. So that person, whoever owns it, is going to have to do the as-built for every lot.
No.
I'll tell you
Sure.
what, I'm not gonna sign it either until I get a ruling from the town lawyer, town legal department. We've never done it before. I don't wanna start a precedent. I want some advice from the town in order to determine what the proper procedure should be.
Ramonda, did you just say that we have reached out and requested some?
She said she hadn't heard that.
Correct, she said we have reached out and communicated with town council requesting some advisement on this issue, and we have not yet heard back. Al, do you have anything to say?
No, I only sort of agree with Cheryl in that, as far as I know, if it hasn't been, the A&R plan hasn't been recorded at the registry, then those 3 lots don't legally exist. That's my
Anyway. They don't
interpretation.
legally exist until a deed is written on one of those lots. It's nothing but a piece of paper filed at the Registry of Deeds until a deed is written on one of them. And the controlling information on that order of conditions is Susan's book and page. That's the deed that gets encumbered. It has nothing to do with the plan. It's that book and page is going to get encumbered, and then everything follows in a chain, in a line. And the title examiner is going to look back when FX Corporation then goes to sell to the homeowner. They're going to look back at his deed. At the bottom of his deed, it's going to say, see, that book and page, he's going to look back at that, and there's a chain. Have you ever seen it? At the bottom of every deed, it tells you where that deed came from. And they keep looking back until they go back about 75 years, until they're satisfied that they've found all of the encumbrances, all of the descriptions, all of the subdivisions to make sure everything's right. That's the way it works.
Can I ask a question here? Is there some special reason that we don't know why the A&R plan hasn't been filed at the registry? Is there some something that we don't know that is governing that?
No, it's in my drawer, but usually what happens with us is when everything's sort of done in a nice neat bow, I give it to the attorney and they take it down and they record all this stuff together. It's nice to have the recorders down there, like to have all the stuff come in if you can. They don't care, but you know, if you can, and everything's all together in one package. It's all one piece of property. 3 orders of conditions, 1 plan, here it is.
Do you have anything to say, John?
I think we should move the question.
Second.
I have a question. If it comes back from our legal counsel the next day or two that it's acceptable to sign this, can we come in and sign it? So why don't we deal with it that way?
And
Wait for
we
legal.
just come in?
Wait for legal counsel and then we can come in.
Actually, you guys don't vote to issue it.
Would have to vote now saying based upon legal counsel. I don't know if I like
Because
that.
they say no, then.
Yeah, that would mess it up then.
I wouldn't let that fly at work, so I can't do
It's 2 weeks.
Come back and use after legal counsel has said it.
Doesn't do anything.
I'm not comfortable with
A&Rs
it.
already
So I
signed.
will tell you this, right? I do not have a drop of the reference that some of the more tenured folks on this committee have. And with some of the most tenured members of this committee outright refusing to sign this, there's no world in which I'm comfortable proceeding, right? I weigh your opinions heavily in my own, and
Can make a motion to continue to the next hearing so that we'll have legal counsel's opinion and we can sign it at that time.
I'll
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. All right. Next up, we have Order of Conditions, Susan Colton Trust, ARS-DMS Nominee Trust, DEP file number 251-0511, Norwood number N2019-10, project location Lot 4, Brook Street, Norwood, Mass.
For the same reason, make a motion to continue to the next hearing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Next up, Order of Conditions, Bowler Engineering, representing John Shelby, 69 Providence Highway Associates, LLC, DEP file number 251-0513, Norwood number N2020-01, project location 83 Boston Providence Turnpike, Norwood, Mass. Al?
This is for the gas station, and they need to replace the fuel tanks with updated version, and our updated version is more stringent than the state requirements, so this is a good thing for us, especially right there next to the brook, and therefore I think that's a positive thing going on there. So I wrote the order, and I think that we should approve.
do we have any comments from?
I echo Al's sentiment that I love that we're going above and beyond to ensure that these things are being safely installed, and in the event that there is some type of breach or more likely issue at like the connecting portion of the tank, that we've got a safety net. So yeah, I totally agree with Al's position on this.
Okay, I make a motion that we accept the orders of conditions as is.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Make a motion to issue.
Oh, I'll make a motion that we issue it as well.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Next on the agenda, Certificate of Compliance, 87 Plantation Circle, DEP file number 251-0332, Norwood number N2003-17. Al?
This is an old project, a few years back. Can tell by the Norwood number, it's 2003. And as in a few other, the original purchaser didn't request a certificate of compliance and record it, so that's why it's delayed. I supervised the construction of this house, and I know that the property was built according to the plan, and I don't have any problem with approving this.
I make a motion that we issue the partial certificate of compliance to 83. No, yep,
87.
no, sorry,
7.
87.
87, sorry.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. All right, next up, notice of intent. Gloucester Engineering Inc., representing Susan Colton Trust, ARS-DMS nominee trust, DEP file number 251-0512, Norwood number N2019-11, project location, Lot 5, Brook Street, Norwood, Massachusetts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is John Gloucester, Gloucester Engineering, 46 East Street in East Walpole, and Susan Colton is sitting here in the front row of the seating. And so here's our overall plan. There's the lots 3 and 4 that we were just talking about. Lot 5, the controversy was that the building was shown within the 50-foot no-build area. So after talking with Susan, we decided rather than withdraw or do anything like that or keep pressing the board to change, we just moved the building or moved the part of the building or took off part of the building that was within the 50 feet. I mean, it's still a small building, but given its location, it's likely someone will still want to purchase this lot and build that building there, or maybe something similar, but you know, they would certainly come back if they wanted to square off some of the things that we showed on an angle there. And as you can see, a 25-foot no disturb, so we're not doing any work within the 25 feet. And we have a compost sock along that edge, shortened up the driveway and all. So we think that this is approvable under your regulations, and we're pretty sure it's approvable under the DEP.
Still have issues with the 50-foot, right?
You're right on.
No, there's a 50-foot, so there's no building within 50 feet of.
Foundation, right on.
So it's almost like they just chopped off that portion of the building and have replaced it with what looks like maybe a proposed
That's
deck
the
instead.
foundation.
The deck's over there.
It is, yeah.
Right, but I think I read it that decks and things like that can be within the 50 feet.
I did see that, I think, I don't have the word.
Decks and
right in front of me,
driveways
but I
and-
think it does say at the Conservation Commission's discretion, things like that can be permitted within the 50
Okay.
foot. Okay, so.
Well, then we would ask for that.
Understood. I see what you did here. I totally see what you did
Yeah,
here.
well,
Looks like a laser came right through the the proposed building?
At this point, I think it's easier than fighting, right?
Sure.
We're just gonna show this to you, it's likely, given its location, which is looking over the pond there,
Beautiful spot.
that someone might want something like this, and someone might want a house that size. I mean, there's some of us at an age where that's not too bad, if you know what I'm
I
saying.
totally understand. I totally
A
understand.
little less maintenance to take care of it, so.
Al?
Well, I looked at that and I said, well, building a half a house, but the deck, I suppose the deck could be constructed without even having a post in the no-build zone, because you could cantilever the deck off the house with a little tricky engineering, but I guess, the recharge chambers for the roof drain there, and that's below ground, so that's not an issue. And probably 4 posts, 4x4 or 4x5 posts are not a terrible incursion into the no-build zone. When I showed this plan to a member of our town council who happened to be in the office last week when the plans came in, he says, well, no build means no build. Now, he isn't the one that was here at the last hearing, but he's a more senior member than the one that was here. And he said, well, no build means no build, and they're abiding by that. So that's where that stands. So I suppose that could happen with a little careful work. And the thing that I observe more than that is the driveway. The driveway all of a sudden ends, since there's no garage. John removed the garage from the plan entirely, but the driveway stays the same. And we will have the same condition that John worked out with town engineer about the drainage off the driveway onto the roadway. And there's ways of doing that. There could be a infiltration trench across the driveway. I've seen that done with iron grates, so the water goes in and gets dispersed on either side. So that kind of thing could be worked out. So even though, and I guess my view is that I've always said to engineers that come before me in a informal discussion on lots, I always tell them to think outside the box. Well, this is one of those cases. John is thinking outside the box, cutting the house at an angle there. I suppose it's possible.
Comments or questions from?
It's outside the no-build zone, so.
That's how I felt. Cheryl?
My only well, actually, I have a couple.
Yeah, please.
Would be on, if we accept it as is, on part of the orders of conditions, write in that foundation doesn't go right on the line, and that our agent goes out at the beginning when they stake that foundation, and then after it's poured, it's checked again before the rest of the house is built, because if it's in the no build, it gets removed. Also, I think we should let the building department know that that this plan would be accepted with it, that this is the footprint of the house, so somebody else doesn't come back and have a bigger house in the no build, and then we're back at square one. And also this, I don't know, ravine, intermittent stream, whatever you want to call it, gully, that it is the responsibility of Lot 5 to keep this drainage ditch cleaned out and maintained so it doesn't add to the already issue of the flooding to the backside.
Seems reasonable.
Okay, do we have any other questions or comments from commission before I turn to the public?
No.
John, anything?
I just don't see that happening.
It is,
I mean, to me, it seems like it's just a way to meet the letter of the law, and I don't see it as being practical. And somebody's gonna buy that lot and come back here before us and try and browbeat us into letting them build on that. We're gonna be going through the same process again. I don't agree with it,
no, yeah.
but.
That's their right then. Come back and see if they can get something.
That's why I said the building department would have to be notified, because on a building permit,
Well,
it does
I don't
state-
disagree, have a
Yeah.
problem with you saying that, but it's a moot point. I mean, if we're approving this plan, they have to come back if there's any change to it, so.
Yeah, I'm not happy with the plan, but I can see no valid reason to deny it.
I think that's well put. All right, I can see we have some folks present from the public. Do we have anyone here that would like to make a comment, statement, or pose a question regarding the activities that are proposed here and being discussed on Lot 5?
Sure.
Would you identify yourself, please?
Pascal Shilela, 19 Lance Road Court. I'm the only one across these 3 lots. They're building them. And it's a slot. And my house at the end of that slot. All the water comes to my house and goes through that stream. If that stream is not clean a little bit, I have a flood inside my house. The last 4 years, we had 2 floods in our house. After Mr. Ted built his house, we started having a problem. And his house is all the way far from all this slot. He's at the end, like he is a level, like, but where these 3 houses gonna be built, everything is gonna go through and goes to our house. It's the only house there. If you can see it, it's the only house in the middle for that land. The lot 5, it's gonna be a problem for us. I don't think we can live there. It's a wetland. I mean, to push and squeeze a small house there to make later on in life somebody enjoy the view and somebody else been living there for 30 years having a problem, like every time it's gonna rain, I'm gonna in the morning, I will run right away to the basement to see if my basement is flooding. This is not right. It's not right. Plus, there is goose, there is wildlife there, live there, they lay their eggs there. I mean, if they're gonna put that small house, don't you think it's gonna affect the whole area, the whole situation? My house, my neighbor's not here now. He's traveling. Mr. Roach, he's traveling. He wish he could be here. To just that little house is gonna affect first it's gonna affect my house, and then my neighbor's house, and then my neighbor's house, and then my neighbor's house. That is like 4 or 5 houses gonna be affected. We've been in those houses for 30 years. I mean, for a small house, it's gonna push the wetland. 3 houses, plus Mr. Ted, he already has his house. This is 4 houses, are pushing that land and pushing the water to go through and goes to my house. I don't think this is fair. I don't think so. I mean, 1 lot, 2 lot, 3, I mean, give us a break, please. Who's gonna be in charge of something. If we had the flood in our houses, who's gonna take care of the problem? It's gonna be us. And I cannot afford that. I cannot afford it. Thank you.
Sir?
My name is Brian Shigori. I think it's evident of who or where I am since it was Abe Shigori's land. But isn't it the homeowners that's responsible for it? Any damage to the home?
Yes.
Okay, so why are you coming to a commission to ask for relief? I have a problem with Lot 5 being responsible for cleaning the whole gully, stream, whatever. Why would that be? When people on the other side store sticks and branches that add to the pollution, why should they clean up all the neighbors' refuge or wildlife debris or droppings that go into that? I mean, it's a give and take.
It's okay, Mr. Shigari. We offered that based on the fact that this stream is going to end up on this lot. So we offered that to the Conservation Commission, and it is a condition that doesn't necessarily over-encumber this homeowner, and it provides a service to the other people in the neighborhood. So we don't have a problem with that condition staying in your order of conditions.
Could you explain the downspout
So,
drainage?
yeah, and the other thing is, and I understand what you're saying, ma'am, and as I said before, you know, I do a lot of work in this business, and I would gladly come over and take a look at your house to see if I can identify why you're getting water in your basement, because I think your house is kind of a walkout, right, where the garage is and all. Was I looking at the right house? No?
No.
But I will gladly look at it because there might be other reasons other than just the neighbors' houses. There might be other reasons around your house. Oftentimes I see people come to me, I get water in my basement. My father-in-law, for instance, who lives on, he's dead now, but lived on Canterbury. And for years he's telling me, oh, I get water in my basement, I get water in my, the water's coming up. And we'll take a look at it. I go look at it. His neighbor's driveway goes like this, and here's his foundation, and the water comes down and goes, so I go down there in a rainstorm, I show him, I go, look, the water comes right up against your foundation, and that's where it comes in. So we regraded it. It got, I'm not saying that's your issue, but sometimes it just takes somebody to take a good close look at it and see what's going on. But to answer your question, the rooftop of this house, up to 1 inch of rainfall, which is actually would translate into more runoff, but is going to be put back into the ground. So
That's why it's gonna be put back to the ground.
Back
It's
into
the
the
same
ground.
problem. The ground's gonna soak of water and comes to my house.
It's going to
It's the same
replicate
thing.
what happens today in nature. And then the driveway in the front of this is going to be pitched towards Brook Street and towards this other intermittent stream, which is down below your house. So I would say that this house is going to have, the construction of this house in the driveway and utilities are going to have no effect on your situation at all. None.
Yeah, Cheryl would also like to chime in on this.
Department of Public Works, Mark Ryan. Number 3, driveway shall not drain onto Brook Street. Provide drainage structures or proper grading to assure there is no ponding of water.
Right.
But you can't pitch to Brook Street.
Right. And as I said, you can put that in as a condition, and we'll make sure that the water does not pitch. He doesn't want it to go right out into Brook Street, and I can see what he says. Brook Street doesn't have formal drainage, and it's not really like at a nice flat grade. So, but as you know, we have plenty of room between the paved part of Brook Street and the layout of Brook Street to take care of that. And so that will be handled, and as Al said, there's plenty of different manners, ways that apparatus that we can use, or just by grading it so that it goes along here in towards this where it's not really going to affect anybody. And it's not going to affect you. It's going to have a long run of going across grass where it's all the sand and stuff gets filtered out, and it's going to get into this intermittent stream here, which just simply flows down to where the sluice way is, so.
Joe?
I've been on the Conservation Commission for a very long time. I was on the Conservation Commission when your house was built. And I was there with the owner, previous owner of your house, who had a water problem. And the water came through his backyard and along the back of his house and flowed down around the corner and finally dissipated. My recollection, and it may not be accurate, is that without our knowledge, he raised some of the level of his backyard so you don't see that stream, that, I don't know whether you'd call it a stream, I think it was a natural fountain of water that came out of the
Spring.
the spring that came out of the corner of his house, generally not all year long, but partially during the year. He was trying to get it to go around the back of your house and down alongside and away. I think that that may be part of what the water in your basement problem is. So you may want to look at that rear corner behind the end of your driveway, because when I walked, I was not comfortable walking down your driveway and looking at the house. But I do remember that there was a lot of problem with water coming from that area right behind the house, draining around the corner of the house and down towards the pond. It may be still there, it may not be there, but it's something that you really should investigate, because it was there at one time. Not that this helps you at all, but it may give you some understanding of why, since your house seems very high on the water table, you still have a water problem. And I agree, you do have a water problem. Your previous owner had a water problem. But I'm not sure why it's not visible on the surface any longer, but it was there 40 or 45 years ago. And I don't know what we can do to help you, because it does not seem like this area that we are talking about on the lower side, which is below the grade of your backyard, is going to shuffle water from here towards your backyard. I may be wrong, because I didn't get to walk in your backyard. But I don't know what will solve your problem, but I understand that the problem exists.
Yes.
Okay, and I
And
don't
I'm
have an
worried.
answer as to why it exists, and I'm confident in this, that this is not going to make it worse than it is, because it was a problem before. I don't see it changing the flow of water towards your house, but as I say, I don't know what's causing the water to flow towards your house. It was a natural stream that came and actually brooked behind your house, turned and went down behind the back of the cul-de-sac and disappeared there. So it may be as simple as putting some sort of piping in to get it away from your house towards the back to an exit. But I don't know what caused it. I know it was there 45 years ago, 40 to 45 years ago, and there was nothing that we could do or suggest at the time to help the gentleman that owned the house. And I don't know that we would be able to do anything at this point, but the problem always did exist.
The area was a wetland before they even built it.
No, it was a natural spring.
Just to clarify, looking at this plan and what's going on, and the way water is supposed to shed down and over, the fact that you're putting in those drainage for the downspouts, the fact that you're going to have control of the driveway based upon what Mark Ryan has documented with the orders of conditions, Ms. Doyle's order of conditions that Al will add to it. I agree with Mr. DiMaria. It certainly won't get worse, and if anything, it might improve a little bit. But we don't know that because it's groundwater.
Sir?
Yes, my name's Ted Mikett. I live at 594 Nichols Street. And for the record, I'd like to repeat that I was never notified of these meetings, and as I should have been. And as I listened to everybody, and I took a special intent on what you were describing, you described this as a sluice or...
No.
What's this?
That's just a drainage swale.
The drainage sways.
The
Okay.
sluice way is the thing that's down at the bottom, where the brick building is, way down here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so this area, and this
Drainage swale, and then
The
it goes, this is a head wall here, and then there's a pipe, and that goes into
underneath the street.
goes into the drainage system on Lancelot Court, and then it comes out the other end and goes into Ellis Pond.
Into the pond, right, okay. So what I like to, I have a proposal, but what I want to say is that we have an issue with this, in that over time, it's been filled with leaves and debris and silt, and is not doing the job it originally did when this whole area was first constructed and Lancelot was constructed. And over time, it has not been properly maintained, and as a result, on heavy rains, it all just backs up because it's not being released easily into that culvert here going underneath Lancelot Street and draining. I would like to recommend an order of condition for the sale of this piece of property. Since I can't enforce anything at this point, I asked whether or not the town has a responsibility, but to dredge this, make it wider, and make this flow much more freer as an order of condition for the property.
I hear what you're saying, Ted, but we really can't do that, because that's working in wetlands, that's...
Well,
But my suggestion to you and to the other abutters is call the Norfolk County Mosquito Control. They'll do it for you. They'll put it on their list.
this is the department that would approve such a task, isn't it not?
Boy, that's a whole different kettle of fish, believe me.
Yeah.
When you
Well, I'd
start-
like to hear
when you start
the board.
dredging, when you start dredging.
I don't suggest how deep or how far or how wide, but I'm suggesting make it, again, functional, because right now it's not functional. And any of this development here is just going to exacerbate the problem that we currently have. I don't care which way you're telling me the water flows. Once you put water in the ground that's already soaked, because again, we established at the last meeting that that these properties are lower than the water table of the lake, and this whole area is always saturated and wet. And when it rains, it pools. It doesn't flow into the ground. And that's what I've come to learn since living here. And did not know that prior to moving here.
So, Mr. Chairman, I would say he does have a point, but it really should be the Norfolk County Mosquito Control. They are the ones that can do this, even the town of Norwood would have, they have to get an order of conditions from you. When you dredge material, the DEP is very careful about they don't know what's in that dredged material.
We know all about the dredging.
Yeah, okay, so there you go. So the Norfolk County Mosquito Control can do it. I think all they need to do is notify you that they're doing it. They have like a blanket order of conditions in a neighborhood like this. I'm sure they would make it, put it on their list, and they may even make it a high priority with houses nearby, and that's the way to get something like that done. They do it all the time.
Cheryl, would you respond to that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, two things. You're correct. You can contact mosquito control, and because what they do is they don't want the Diaglavas hatching in any standing water. So they will clean it out, and because they're more of a state agency, they're able to do more than
And they can go into
others.
personal property?
They sure can.
Okay.
But
Especially
also,
especially with everybody's
Yeah, if you
permission.
explain the whole thing to them, they can do it. But that's also why I requested as part of the orders of condition that whoever has that lot, they have to clean it out. They have to maintain it. It's on their lot. Everywhere in town, if there's a drainage ditch on somebody's lot, there's an order of conditions following it, they have to clean it.
Well, what's
They
the
have to
difference
maintain
between
it.
cleaning, well, maybe I used the wrong
Because they're
operative word.
getting the leaves and all the junk that
Right,
piles up.
right.
Because what happens is leaves break down. When leaves break down, they compost. Guess what
Right.
compost is? It's a layer.
Right.
And then it's a layer, and
It's the
then it's a
difference between
layer.
maintenance and dredging.
Yeah.
They can do maintenance, but they can't dredge it.
They
Dredging
can't
is
really
you come
keep
in
them
and you remove soil and that, and you can't remove the soil without DEP. And depending exactly how that ties into the pond, then you trigger the Army
Is it-
Corps of Engineers.
Is it possible to create additional trench, open trench, like 6 feet, not 6 feet, 6 inches to 12 inches wide and make a trough going into that lake to mitigate it? Because it just sits there until days
That I
later when
can't
it,
ans- That I can't answer. I don't know if you have the answer.
because we were talking about putting in perforated piping and that opened up a whole nother issue in ball of wax, but now I'm saying, can we have an open?
What opens up another can of worms is
still.
if someone asks us to work within wetlands,
Yeah.
that's a little different than
mosquito
just working
control.
within.
Mosquito control?
They might even widen it. I've seen it where they've
And
widened
And
it.
that's Norfolk
Yeah.
County.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Yes.
Norfolk County,
It's a county
mosquito control.
organization.
I've seen them where they've made them wider
Yeah.
to get a flow going, to keep.
They don't want stagnant
They don't
water.
want standing water. They
Right.
just don't like it. And I mean, they bust up dams, everything.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
that's-
I would start working on them right away before the temperatures start climbing, and then you do have the mosquitoes, and you'll be amazed what they can do and what they have the authority to do.
Okay.
That would be the best bet of the abutters on that other side.
Okay.
And then it'd probably make Lot 5, the future owner there, happy all in one nutshell.
Yeah, but the annual maintenance of that.
Would be with Lot 5.
Would be with Lot 5,
Yeah.
and there's nothing really wrong with that, and it
No.
makes sense, because for someone just to go in there and rake out the leaves and take out anything that's fallen in there, that's not an issue, but Norfolk Mosquito Control has machines that can, go over those soft areas with like a backhoe type excavator, and they can take the material, and as Cheryl said, they can take it down, they can make it wider, they're gonna make it so it flows out, so you don't
Yeah,
want the
that's my
waters.
concern is right here where it goes underneath the
Yeah,
street, that's
yeah.
probably dammed
Yeah.
up at this point.
They can undam it and
Yeah.
everything. I've seen it where they've gone along the banks of the Neponset.
Yeah.
Right. The order of conditions will travel with whoever
Yeah.
owns this property
It'll-
in perpetuity.
yeah.
It's not, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter if it
Okay.
changes.
Because they'll be ongoing. There's like 2 sets of orders that'll go with the property.
Mhm.
There's going to be a construction part of the orders for the silt fence, that you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to notify the agent before you start building, so he can make sure that the fencing's done right. If it's not, he goes out, he corrects it. So there's little steps all the way. Then there's the ongoing
Right.
orders that will follow that forever and ever and ever and ever, and it sits at the registry of deeds, and you'll be amazed how many ongoing orders of conditions sit with property in this town.
Okay.
It would seem to me that with the order of condition for the ongoing maintenance to be performed by whomever owns Lot 5, likely would recognize some level of improvement, right? To have the
Yeah, yeah.
debris and sticks and rubble removed. And then from what I'm hearing, it sounds like if you were to get some support from mosquito control, it may, whatever their efforts are, may end up amplifying the effect of this ongoing
It should be a
maintenance
win-win.
program.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
And then off the record, just
Okay.
a question.
sure.
If you have leakage around a foundation, isn't it better to pack it with clay than like sand or anything? Because
Bentonite clay will
yes, okay, I
stop
thought
any
so.
water from
Yeah,
going through.
just FYI, you,
But the best thing to do is to get the water away from your foundation. If there's no water there, it's not gonna go through.
Go
But-
through it, yeah.
But something like bentonite clay or hydraulic cement will stop that water from going in. So, but even submarines have pumps that pump the water out, so.
John?
Just to talk to your suggestion just for a second. It makes a lot of sense, but based on, just so that you understand, the Public Works could not legally bring a machine in there and dig.
No, I was going to make that
But
in.
Norfolk Mosquito Control
Right.
can.
They can, yeah, I was thinking that it becomes the onus of the new property owner. That
They
before they
can-
can start building, as part of your order conditions, that they
They have to
could.
clean the ditch, but
Yeah.
they can't dredge the ditch.
Okay.
And because if you have standing water and then you have the lava and then you have the mosquitoes, that becomes a public health nuisance.
Sure,
That's why they can do it.
okay. Okay, so, last time we met, I was mentioning to the board, and John countered my argument, and that this was part of the dam, and that, and he guaranteed the board that there was nothing wrong with the dam, right? It was in perfect condition. I have a news article from WCVB TV that was updated on November 11th of 2019, and I'll just read partially for you that it had to do with a news report highlighting the need for urgent repairs on hundreds of dams in the United States, and nearly 40 of them are in Massachusetts. For more than 100 years, the Willett Pond Dam at the Norwood Walpole Town Line has helped control water flow. But a 2017 state inspection found the spillway can actually handle less than 15% of the water in case of an extreme storm, which could rapidly erode the dam, causing it to collapse. If that happens, hundreds of millions of gallons of water could submerge sections of town where hundreds live and children attend school. I'd like to
Right,
submit
so
that.
that's exactly what I told them, Ted.
No, but
There's
you said there was nothing wrong.
There is nothing
May I speak to
wrong
this?
with the dam. The
Let
spillway
me
is too
speak to,
small.
essentially, not,
All right.
what we're referring to there is the structure of the dam is solid. It's the sluiceway in letting water out of
Right.
New Pond, Willett Pond, thank you. It's not sufficient that way, but the dam
Sure.
itself is solid. And what you're talking
But
about.
under a certain stress condition, it's not. That's what this article is saying.
16
Under that
inches
stress
of rain in
condition,
24 hours.
I live directly downstream, and
Okay.
I will wash away.
Sure.
And I'm not losing sleep over that, because they need to, and the reason, and I'll even, this is my own personal opinion, and I'm throwing you under the bus because you live on that pond. The only reason that article, and that is in, that, look at the date, is that a
November
holiday?
17th.
Was it-
November 11th, 2019.
What day is that? Is that a holiday? Is everything closed? Was the town closed? All town officials unavailable? Now,
What
let's say you
difference does it
own,
make?
well, what makes a difference is, say you own property around Willett Pond, and you're one of those people who supposedly are going to have to pony up the money to fix that dam. Yet if you throw that in the news and then get our local state rep to file with the state, and all of these people horrified that we're going to be all washed away, say the state should pay for this, not the people around the pond.
So you're saying the state,
score.
the state inspection is wrong, or it
I'm
was done
saying
for
that,
political reasons?
I'm saying that the state inspection about the actual gear for to remove water from the pond is not wrong. I'm saying it does not say that the dam structure itself is
I'll
weak.
explain it to you, Ted.
And then secondly, what I'm saying is that the ownership of the pond, Willett Pond, changed miraculously because the previous way it was set up, again, landowners around Willett Pond don't want to pay for fixing that.
I gather, yeah.
So they released that statement on a holiday to raise the level so that they could get the state people to file with the state so that the state will pay for it and not the local
Trying to
landowners.
say propaganda.
That's what I'm telling you, the stories.
Thank
Not
you.
that I'm
Okay.
heated about it.
No. Thank you for.
So what it is, in a very small nutshell, you know when you drive across Brook Street and you get to the end?
Yep.
And you look down to the left and you see
Sure.
that water running? Well,
Yep.
that water's running under that little bridge there, right? That bridge is half the size that it needs to be to meet Office of Dam Safety Requirements.
Okay.
So that thing would, if that thing was twice as wide, it
Sure.
wouldn't be letting more water out, but just in an
Right.
emergency,
Okay.
it could let more water out.
See-
So what Mr. Bamber's telling you is, so there's 90 of us live on the pond, and they came around and they said, at a minimum, it's 2.1 million. And
Right.
everybody went, oh, let the state pay for that. So that's what, and, you know,
Yeah.
it's a little bit of a back and forth, and that's what's going on.
I understand that, and that's the issue, okay, that's the crux of that. But what does it do to me in
It's
the
never
abutters?
going to change until they fix it, meaning they're not gonna let the water out of the pond.
But what I'm saying here is that right now, this area, saturated area, is...
That's
is-
not impacting the dam structure.
Why?
Because it's actually behind the dam.
Where's all that water getting?
It's behind the dam, actually.
That's right.
It's on the
And
low
it's
side.
and it's lower
But the dam
than...
structure's impacted from the other side.
I don't know.
In the event of a major catastrophic flood, it would be hitting and coming over.
Yes, one would project, right? But what I'm talking about is the excavation going on here.
Mm-hmm.
And
But
now-
those aren't part of the dam, those are just
No,
land.
this
anywhere
is
near.
still part of the dam.
The dam's under the road, it's under
This-
Brook Street,
this
it's
is-
under the paved portion of the
The
road.
last time we
Concrete.
met, we couldn't understand why there was all this public way here and that they pushed back to personal property. But what I'm saying is that this is part of the dam. Because
So they just-
that's why they created this public way, so that it wouldn't be affected. And that you had to set back any construction even further back. Otherwise, they should have had it right up to the street when they conveyed the property to private hands. This is part of the dam.
I thought
And-
that was
and-
part
and-
of Brook, for Brook
That's
Street.
part of-
It's
to
part
go.
of Brook Street. It's part of Brook Street because, as I said, back in the day, and you gotta remember, Ted, I was the assistant
I-
town engineer here for 4 years. So back in the day, the town had this idea that Garden Parkway, right, coming from 1A,
Sure.
was gonna connect right across. And if you go out there and stand right here,
Right.
you can look down Garden Parkway.
Right.
And they were gonna connect it right through. That's why the town went to the county. The county uses their resources because towns don't normally have the engineers and surveyors to create the taking plans for roadways that the county has and had at the time. So the county, on behalf of the town, through the planning board and the board of selectmen, they go to the county and they say, look, can you lay out this road for us? And the whole idea is they would have this one road would come all the way from 1A right up to Nickel Street.
Yeah, and
then-
it'd be
then
wide.
Albemarle was the same way, and it was supposed to
Yeah.
go all the way around, I think that way, I don't know, maybe all the way out to Manhattan Street or something.
So
But
that's
anyway,
why it
that
was
was
that
the-
wide, is what you're telling me.
They widened it,
Yeah.
but they never constructed it.
But what doesn't make sense to me, if they did it that wide here, why did they pinch it down at this end if it was going to
Yeah,
be
it
a
was
thoroughfare? It should have gone straight across. And all I'm saying is this part down here is not part of the dam, but once you get to this property here, you're part of the dam. Especially when there's a hill here, including the street, a hill here, and then the land goes down lower than the water table, than the level of the water. So to me, this is a berm. And they made it that fat in order to protect the dam.
Okay. The dam is a concrete core that's under the roadway. It isn't under that strip of land that was taken for the road. The concrete core was there before the road,
Yeah, long before.
and then the road was put on top of the concrete core. So that strip is only the strip that was taken to allow all this to go on. It has nothing to do with the dam.
So
The dam itself is under the concrete,
So-
under the roadway.
You're saying there's concrete dam underneath the
There's a
roadway?
concrete structure
Underneath it.
several feet high
Yeah.
under the road.
That dams up the lake?
Yes, that's what it was put there for. You know,
And
it's a
then on the
man-made
other-
lake.
It's a man-made lake, yeah.
It's a man-
Yeah, I know it's a man-made lake.
And then when you
Your
go
brother told me.
across Hawesbrook, and then it's sort of following along. If you came over to my house, you can see it. You go across and you just see it's flat. On that side, it's a dike. It's an earthen dike. So the dam ends at about where you cross over the brook, over Hawes Brook, do you know what I mean? Then the dam ends and then it's a dike. And actually, so just to alleviate anybody's fears, if it does flood, it goes around, way around through Walpole. It doesn't go flooding over here because it's lower.
Comes down 1A.
It's lower on the, it's right, it's lower on that end. That's the lowest part of the dike, so it doesn't even run down
So
to.
basically, that survey, from what the engineers, we met with engineers up there. If that sluiceway won't allow a certain amount of water to evacuate the lake in a particular storm, which is catastrophic. So what happens is, the water builds up behind it. It can't get through the sluiceway. It would actually overrun the dike, which he's talking about, which is the other end on the
Way down by
side,
New Pond, that's.
on
that's
Bullitt
the
Street.
Okay.
And it would wash that's an earthen dam or dike. That would wash out, and the pond would empty out down 1A, then go down through where the brook goes through now, where Hawes Brook goes through now. It would take out the train trestles in South Darwood. So, they know
Well,
that.
it's
but-
16 inches, well, what they want it designed for, 16 inches of water in 24 hours. So it passes the 100-year storm, and it may even, don't quote me on this, but it may even pass the 500-year storm, but it won't pass what they call the half flood. So an existing dam has to pass the half flood, 16 inches of rainfall in 24 hours, so. So that's the story, but believe me, you don't have to move, the dam's not going anywhere.
Thank you for that. Do we have any further comments from the public?
Do I have a motion?
Oh, if you want to make it.
No, go
Oh,
ahead, I'll second.
all right. Okay. I make the motion, huh?
You're gonna close the hearing.
Well, we'll close it, okay. I make a motion, we close it.
Second.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Then I,
Opposed? Thank you.
yeah, okay, I'm just
You're good,
moving
you're
it
good. Yeah,
along.
make it
I
happen.
make a motion that we accept Lot 5 as is with the house, as is with the special orders of condition on keeping that dike clean and it's to follow it, not dike.
The inter-
Swale.
Swale.
Drainage
Yeah,
swale.
Drainage swale.
And that before any construction begins for the foundation, it needs to be staked out and agent must be notified, and that we notify the building department so this lot is on their radar.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And they were all reasonable conditions. You know, we have no problem with the conditions.
You
All
didn't
right.
think it'd get through, did you?
Next up on the agenda, we had the intention of a conversation about the community events. Unexpectedly, Chris Capizio could not be here tonight, so I think that we're going to just push that to the next agenda. Well, I can just outline briefly for the commission that Katie Rizzo had reached out looking for interested parties in participating in Norwood Earth Day, which is happening Sunday, April 26th. They have booked the town common for the event. They're in conjunction with various booths, various representatives from entities within the town and community present. They also have some cleanup scheduled in parallel. Chris Capizio expressed interest in participating and representing the Conservation Commission at the event, and she very much was looking for input, engagement, and maybe participation from the rest of us. So I think that's what she wanted to talk about this evening. I think that it's a good idea. I myself intend on participating, but I'd like her to be here to really drive some of the conversation. So maybe it's appropriate to
Put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
maybe talk about that when we get to future agenda items. But that's the gist of it. So if anyone has questions that you want me to try to field, I could, but I think we have the time to just talk about it next time with Chris.
Okay.
All right. Treasurer's report?
Nothing this evening.
Al, Conservation Agent's report.
Well, the Most interesting thing I have tonight is that my wife was looking at wind turbines, and because, you know, we've been talking about electric cars and solar heaters and solar panels and wind generation of electricity instead of fossil fuels. And she came up with these 3 sites in the middle and west of the country where windmills have been going for 20 years, and now the time is up and they're starting to replace them and throw them away. And the blades are not recyclable. So
What is that? Fiberglass.
So the blades are being deposited in landfills.
I read that article.
Backwards.
I read the article and saw the same pictures, and
So-
I'm like, you gotta be kidding.
So I thought that was interesting enough that it'd be on our
And they're huge.
minds, you know.
Birthday.
And the same thing is going to be true of solar panels, because solar panels are not going to be recyclable, and they're going to have to bury them in landfills. So, you know, we have to look at this again.
Can we send them to China?
Nope, I won't take them.
that anymore.
It's crazy. I've seen a turbine blade going down the highway on the longest truck I've ever seen
Yeah.
before, and it was just massive. So what do you do with them all that they're wearing out?
Well, the bigger ones are like 300 foot each, you know. That's a,
That's a
That-
lot of
yeah.
junk.
you
The ones
have to
down
cut
on
it in half to
495.
transport it on the highway.
Right.
So,
That is interesting.
So I just thought it was-
It's interesting and upsetting, I
And the
guess.
solar panel thing is cropping up all over the place too.
yes. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, thank you for that. Al, do you have anything else?
No, I think we solved a problem that had popped up here. So,
Yeah, right on.
yeah.
Okay, CPC representatives, report.
CPC is just moving forward and reviewing all the applications. Hopefully our board or pavilion goes out to bid. But on the bright side, Mark Ryan and Matt Walsh are helping us for the foundation part. The concrete slab and that, they're gonna help us with that part, to get that part done and off the ground. And then, once we get the bid on the pavilion, it'll only take like a day.
Well, knock on wood, spring's coming early, it appears.
Yeah, I know. So, but that's it, so.
Good stuff, thank you. Future agenda items, we want to do the Earth Day community event discussion on our next meeting on March 4th. Do we have anything else to add to the agenda for that meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.